In the last two classes, we looked at how to solve Navier-Stokes equations, how to derive velocity field. We already knew the pressure field in these cases. In the later example, we did not know the pressure field and we derived what should be the pressure field. We just knew that pressure is varying with x in the second example. So what were these two examples? The two examples were of the Couette flow, which means a geometry like this where there are two parallel plates, the bottom plate or the top plate, it can be any plate because we did not consider gravity. If there is no gravity, it does not matter which plate is fixed and which one is moving. So in this case, we said that the bottom plate is fixed, where this is our coordinate system, and the top plate was moving with some velocity. This is known as Couette flow, and there is a fluid flowing inside these two plates. The second geometry that we considered, the second flow configuration, there were two plates which were fixed. Both of them are fixed, and there is a pressure driven flow in between them. Therefore, there is a pressure gradient in the pipe. Not in the pipe, this is a channel consisting of two infinitely long plates, and both of these cases were two-dimensional in nature. This second case, this second flow configuration also has a name, which is known as Poiseuille flow. Now this is often mispronounced, this term. Some people call it Poiseuille flow, or may call it something else. This is actually a French name. This is called Poiseuille. Similarly, if you have a pipe a straight pipe in which there is a flow, then this is known as Hagen-Poiseuille flow. So now we will consider this configuration and derive velocity field and stress field inside this pipe. All right. Now, as you can see that this is a three-dimensional problem now, but what we can do is we can assume a few things and convert it to a two-dimensional problem. You can imagine that some of you can imagine what we will be doing here. We will make use of symmetry here. We will say that the flow is symmetric about the center line if the pipe cross section is circular, and that the flow velocity in this azimuthal direction is 0 and there are no changes in that direction. So if we take a polar coordinate system here, cylindrical polar coordinate system, then this is the r direction, this is z direction, and that direction is theta direction, the azimuthal direction. So what we are saying here is that theta component of velocity is 0 if velocity can be written as Vr r prime r cap plus V theta theta cap plus Vz z cap, where r cap, theta cap, z cap are unit vectors in these three directions. So we are saying that V theta is 0, there is no velocity in that direction. Also, there are no changes in any variable in the theta direction. Okay. So now let us write the continuity and momentum equations in the cylindrical polar coordinate system. Let me write the full equations first. The continuity equation, which is del dot V equal to 0. This can be written as 1 by R RUR. We have taken VR as our velocity in that direction, plus 1 by R dou V theta by dou theta, plus dou Vz by dou Z equal to 0. You can also derive this. You would have gone through vectors and how to transform from one coordinate system to the other coordinate system. So you need to write this del in cylindrical coordinate system, polar coordinate system, and similarly this V also in cylindrical polar coordinate system, and then you will get this equation here in the expanded form. Now, according to this assumption that nothing changes in the theta direction and that velocity in the theta direction is also 0, we can neglect this term here. This goes to 0. So the final continuity equation that we get, and let us expand the first term also, we will get one by R. So let us first differentiate this. When we differentiate velocity, we have to keep the other term in the brackets outside, plus we can take VR outside and differentiate R, which will give us 1, plus dou Vz by dou Z equal to 0. Now let us see if we can derive something from this continuity equation here. Okay, so here also we will assume that it is a fully developed flow, it is steady flow, the fluid is Newtonian and incompressible. If it is a fully developed flow, that means Vz or any other unknown, any other variable except pressure does not change with Z. Okay, except for pressure, and dou P by dou Z is finite except this. Okay, so velocity does not change with Z, therefore this goes to 0 from the assumption of fully developed flow. Now let's see what we get from here. We get dou VR by dou R equal to minus VR by R. Okay, now this is one equation that we get. Let us name it equation 1. We will see how we can use this later on. Now let us write the momentum equations in R, theta and Z directions and see which terms cancel out and which don't. So let us write momentum equation in R direction. It is rho dou VR by dou T plus VR dou VR by dou R. By the way, these equations are available in standard textbooks. So you can have a look from there, or you can derive them yourself also, because you already know the equations in their vector form. So you can always derive them in any coordinate system that you want. So this is v theta by r, dou vr by dou theta, minus v theta square by r, plus vz dou vr by dou z, equal to minus dou p by dou r plus mu As you can see, this is a more complicated equation than what we got for Cartesian coordinate system. Now let us see which terms we can neglect from here, or let me first write it for the theta direction as well, and then we can see it for both the equations. The equation in the theta direction is one by r square to v theta by dou theta square 2 by r square dou vr by dou theta dou 2 v theta by dou z square. Okay, now let's have a look at the r momentum equation. First of all, we assume that it is a steady state flow, therefore the time term will go away. Now we also know that v theta is 0 and there is no change in the theta direction, therefore this is 0 and this is 0. Similarly, these terms are 0 containing theta. Now maybe we can use of this equation 1 that we derived here, where dou vr by dou r terms appear, but we'll do it later on. And also there is no pressure gradient in r direction. There is no gravity, so in radial direction there is no pressure gradient. The pressure gradient only exists in the z direction, so we'll neglect this also. Finally, the r equation becomes rho Vr dou Vr by dou r plus Vz dou Vr by dou z equal to mu 1 by r dou by dou r dou Vr by dou r minus Vr by r square plus dou 2 Vr by dou z square. Now what about the theta equation? This goes to 0. All the terms containing v theta go to 0. Dou p by dou theta goes to 0. There is no change in any variable in the theta direction. That's our assumption. Similarly, all the terms with v theta go to 0, and any change in theta direction, that goes to 0. So all of these terms go to 0. So theta equation we don't even need. Now instead of that, let us write the z equation. I'll write it instead of this theta. I'll erase the theta equation from here. Okay, to make space for the z equation. All right, so the z equation is rho plus Vr dou Vz by dou r plus V theta by r dou Vz by dou theta plus Vz dou Vz by dou z equal to minus dou p by dou z. This dou p by dou z is not equal to 0 because this is a pressure driven flow, and plus mu dou by dou r dou Vz by dou r plus 1 by r square dou 2 Vz by dou theta square and plus dou 2 Vz by dou z square. Now here we can cancel out this term, steady state and no change in theta direction. Similarly, this one also no change in theta direction. Now we are left with the z component equation as rho Vr dou Vz by dou r plus Vz dou Vz by dou z equal to minus dou p by dou z plus mu plus mu plus dou 2 Vz by dou Z square. Now these equations are not straightforward to solve, as you can see. Earlier, in the earlier cases that we saw, in Cartesian coordinates, one of the equations was generally not useful for us. So we had to solve only one equation. But here we can see we have to solve both the equations. But there is one more assumption. If we see this kind of flow here, we can see, so we have not applied this fully developed flow assumption here first of all. So we had to neglect some more terms that we did not do. There is no change in Z direction, so we can neglect that because of fully developed flow. There is no change in Z direction, we neglect that. No change in Z direction and no change in Z direction here. But pressure will change in Z direction, so we are keeping it. Also, intuitively we know that velocity will only be in the Z direction. There will not be any radial velocity that we can see from here. So similar to a channel flow case, in this case also, if it is a steady case and laminar case, steady implies laminar because the turbulent flow is always unsteady. You can see that the streamlines will be straight. Okay, that you can also see from the continuity equation. If you see the first term here, because of the fully developed flow, this term goes to 0. So the first term says that 1 by R dou RVR by dou R is 0. So there is always some R value there, therefore except at R equal to 0, but at all other places we have this equation valid except at R equal to 0. Therefore this means that this quantity RVR does not change with R. Okay, so you can convert this into a total derivative as well. dRVR by dr equal to 0, and then you can say that RVR is equal to a constant. All right, now if you go to a wall, you know that because of no penetration condition, as we discussed earlier, VR has to be 0 at the wall. So VR is equal to 0 at R equal to R naught. If you say that the boundaries are located at R equal to R naught. Therefore VR is equal to 0 at all the other points as well. Okay, so from there we know that velocity field has only one component Vz, which is not a function of Z, not a function of theta, it is only a function of R. So the velocity field has to look like this. Therefore we can drop all the VRs from here, from these equations. So wherever VR appears, we can just cross it. So now we see that we don't even need R equation. We need to solve only the Z equation. We can cancel this term because it has VR. This term does not have any VR, so we have to keep it that way. Similarly, this is also non-zero. dou p by dou z term. So the final equation that we want to solve is dou p by dou z equals mu by r dou by dou r dou vz by dou r. Okay. Now we already know that pressure is only a function of z and velocity vz is only a function of r. Therefore we can write them as total derivatives. We can say dp by dz is equal to mu by r ddr dvz by dr. Okay. Now the right hand side is only a function of r and the left hand side can only be a function of z. Therefore, if these two are equal, it implies that they have to be equal to a constant. Otherwise, we cannot have a function of z equal to a function of r. So both of them have to be constants. Now we can call this dp by dz constant as some g, like we did for the flat plate case, and we can say mu by r ddr r dvz by dr equal to that constant g. So this we are calling as g, which is the pressure gradient in the pipe. Now this looks similar to the flat plate case. We have two double derivative on the left hand side. So after integration, it will give velocity as a function of r square. So it will be a quadratic expression. You have to integrate twice with respect to r. Let us do that. So d r dvz by dr equal to g by mu r dr integral. This will give r dvz by dr equal to g by mu r square by 2 plus some constant c1. Now let us divide by r on both the sides and we'll get an extra r here. Now let us integrate again and we'll get vz equal to g by mu r square by 4 plus what do we get here? 1 by r gives us log r term, so c1 log r plus some other constant c2. Now what are the boundary conditions here? The boundary condition is that at r equal to r naught, vz is 0 because of the no slip boundary condition. Now how do we get the second boundary condition? Okay, because in the last problem we had two walls, so we got two boundary conditions for c1 and c2, but here we have only one boundary at r equal to r naught. How do we get the second boundary condition? So let us see what this gives. Okay. Okay, so we need one more boundary condition. Now you can see that this term here, c1 log r, if we put r equal to 0 in this equation, this will go to infinity, that is log 0 or minus infinity. So this is not a valid solution. Therefore c1 has to be 0 in order for this velocity to be plausible, okay, for it to be physical. Therefore c1 has to be 0 from these considerations. Now we need to calculate only C2. So we don't really need that boundary condition. We can just discard this C1 because of this condition of physicality, that the velocity field has to be physical. It cannot go to minus infinity or infinity. It cannot reach an infinite magnitude at the center line at r equal to 0. So the other condition that we have used is that at r equal to 0, or as r approaches 0, Vz should be finite. This is the condition we have used, which gives us C1 equal to 0. Now to find out C2, we can just use this boundary condition here. So we'll say 0 equal to r naught square g mu or 4 mu plus C2, which gives C2 equal to minus g r naught square by 4 mu. Okay, now we can replace this there and we get Vz equal to, now this g by 4 mu is common, let us take it out, g r naught square by 4 mu, inside we get r by r naught whole square minus 1, right? So this is the final velocity field that we got, Vz as a function of r. This is a quadratic expression similar to what we got for a flat plate, for the flat plate case. So now we can plot the velocity field in this pipe at the center line. It is maximum. You can find that out by differentiating it. You'll get a maximum at r equal to 0, and at any cross section you can draw the velocity field, which will be a parabola in this case in the RZ plane. And if you draw the three-dimensional velocity field, it will be a paraboloid. So the velocity field is a paraboloid in 3 dimensions and a parabola in the RZ plane. This is R, this is Z. Okay. Now there are several things you can find out for this flow. One of them is the shear stress field in the fluid and the shear stress applied on the pipe. So what is the shear stress applied on the pipe? You have to go back to the formula for shear stress, which is del V plus del V transpose, and convert this in the polar coordinates and get a formula for tau. Now what are the subscripts? If you see, the flow is in z direction, so the force is in the z direction. So this is the shear stress component. And what is this surface? What is the surface normal? It is r. So the first subscript is r. The second subscript is the direction of force, which is z. So you have to find tau rz. That is the only surviving component of the stress tensor. So you have to find this out. You can write it. This is your assignment number 2. Find out tau rz from here. This is the first problem. The second problem is find average velocity in the pipe. So that if you know the average velocity, you can multiply V average by the area of cross section of the pipe, cross sectional area, to get the volume flow rate. And then you can tell So for example, how do you measure V average? V average is easier to measure than the velocity field itself. How do you measure V average? You can take a bucket. Uh, you can just allow this fluid that is coming out of this pipe to go inside the bucket, measure the time in which the bucket gets filled, measure the volume that gets filled. So it will give you volume flow rate, volume per unit time, and that is this V average times area of cross section. So if you divide this by area of cross section, you get average velocity inside the pipe. So you have to tell me what is the average velocity in terms of these parameters here, g, mu, r naught. Okay. Also get me this relationship in terms of g, r naught, mu, and also the V average for flat plate case. So for parallel pos V flow, for flat plate pressure driven flow case, all right. So V average for both of these cases you have to find, and you have to write this tau rz and show that here. What will the profile look like for tau rz? Okay, thank you.